Good morning. It's Wednesday in the nation's capital. All right, in the news, GOP healthcare plan flops, fails, just blows up, whatever you want to say about it. But the Republican senators, the Senate's efforts to get a healthcare plan voted on and moving forward so that they can do it before the July 4th recess has collapsed miserably. So this is an utter failure by the Republicans and Mitch McConnell for not being able to corral the votes, even though they have a majority in the Senate, and do this. This is something that would, if it was the Democrats, this is something that would have been unlikely if the Democrats had been a majority and were trying to push their own health care plan or whatever. They find a way to generally keep their coalition together. Republicans tend to get fractured and go off on their own way. And so, blame who you want to blame. I mean, whether or not it's a Dean Heller or a Susan Collins, or, probably more importantly, Ted Cruz, Mike Lee, Ron Johnson, Rand Paul, who stood firm and said that the plan didn't go far enough in cutting, which has been, the cutting of services and things in the plan have been widely attacked by the liberal media, by Democrats, but without a lot of context and understanding of how much this program has grown over time, and particularly Medicaid. Under Obama, Medicaid, the definition of those eligible has expanded greatly, so that it's not really just the sick and the poor. It is a lot more people get qualified for that, and that is, that's a ticking time bomb for healthcare plans. Is this whole Medicaid expansion, and a lot of the states that have expanded this have started to realize that if they're forced to pay for some more of these costs on their own, they can't actually afford the expanded Medicaid that they agreed to do. But so they bought a bad bill of goods, and taxpayers in their states are going to wind up paying a very heavy price in the end. Obamacare isn't working for most people. The premiums have skyrocketed. It's cheaper to pay a penalty and try to find your own way through urgent care and other methods to get health care when you can. And remember, too, that health care is, if you go to a hospital, hospitals cannot deny you coverage. They do have to cover you even if you can't pay, and they lose a lot of money servicing patients who can't pay, and that's part of their business model. That's part of the process. They understand that they're going to have to do that. There's a certain amount of money that's really allocated towards that. But they can't have all charity cases. Otherwise, they will go bankrupt. And hospitals have gone bankrupt around the country because of their over-reliance. They've been slammed by sick people coming into their ER, and they have to take care of them, and they wind up not getting little or no reimbursement at all for giving care to those individuals. Moving on, President Trump went on Twitter, and where else would he go? And he slammed CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, for fake news. This is coming on the heels of CNN firing 3 individuals who are working on the Anthony Scaramucci story and his alleged ties to Russia, and for which they had to admit it didn't meet their standards. It wasn't true. They, CNN, to their credit, scrubbed the story within 24 hours from their website, issued an apology, issued new rules for coverage of Russia, and they fought back against the fake news narrative. There was an argument yesterday in the White House with Sarah Huckabee Sanders about fake news, and so there's been a lot of attention paid to this. Joe Scarborough from MSNBC defended CNN, defended their work, defended their integrity. My retort to that would just be, say, if they had so much integrity in everything, how did they let that story appear and get published in the beginning, to begin with, right? So something slipped, some standards that they supposedly had slipped and allowed this to get through. They have a long way to go before they earn any respect from me for honesty and integrity. And look at the guests that they generally have on their shows. They don't have a lot of. There's not a lot of conservatives on that network. So beat that as it may, right? A couple other things. The Peta virus, which started in Ukraine and Russia, is spreading worldwide, causing massive slowdowns in computer systems and the like. It's not really affected us too much here in the States, but it's a reminder that the hackers are out there. They're looking to exploit loopholes, and they want your money before they give you your files back. So hopefully you're staying up to date with everything that you need to do, and have basically hacker-proofed your accounts, particularly your social media accounts. And then finally, Cosmo magazine, Cosmopolitan, has come out with a list of 7 women that they think might break the glass ceiling in 2020, notwithstanding that chances are right now that President Trump will get reelected, so there'll really be no chance for a Republican, or I should say any woman, to win the presidency in 2020. This list was notable in the fact that it had not a single conservative or Republican of any kind on the list, because it had Oprah, Elizabeth Warren, Kristen Gillibrand, Tammy Duckworth, Karen Sandberg from Facebook, Kamala Harris from California, and Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota. So Cosmo has shown a little bit of their bias, not including a single Republican woman in the mix, whereas maybe one of the most prominent women that's been mentioned time and time again, even during the 2016 campaign, was Nikki Haley, and others that names have popped up in the past too. Tammy Duckworth, but she's really too wrapped up with things to, I think, really consider that level of commitment. And then you look at the other list. I mean, Kamala Harris is kind of the rising star from California and can carry that only so far. Tammy Duckworth, she was locked in a bit of battle. I mean, Oprah. I mean, just those are all, I think, possibilities, but it's kind of ridiculous to think about that. A lot of names get floated out there, food for thought. But the big thing here is that Cosmo just completely ignored conservative Republican women and just kept it liberal. So anyway, that's about it for the Morning Report. You can join us later today. So we don't do YouTube live for the podcast, but we will have the Bias Buzz podcast, and a new episode edition should be up tonight at some point. So join us then. And if you want to watch the show live, you need to switch over to Facebook or Twitter. There we record the show live, or you can also wait for iTunes and the upload there, which should occur once again tonight, and then just automatically have the podcast delivered to your inbox, in essence, and you can listen to them at your own time and your own leisure. All right, thanks a lot. Have a great day, and hopefully you'll be watching the Bias Buzz podcast in one way, shape, form, or another.